Hello, and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
How are you today, everybody?
Woohoo! This episode is sponsored by Miller Lite because we're both drinking it right now.
Yes. Hey, Miller Lite, tweet us and send us a case.
Yeah, please.
Oh, what are we talking about this week? We're talking about my pick, Poltergeist. Speaking of poltergeists.
Yeah.
Okay, so Meg and I became friends, like we said, near high school age, and I don't know what we were scared of. I can't remember what scared us, but something scared us, and then we were just getting kind of freaked out. We were sleeping at my house, and it was like one of the first times she slept over, and then like the wind was blowing and like the door was knocking, and then Meg is like, "What? Can you picture, like, right now, what's the scariest thing?
What's the worst case scenario?
What's the worst case scenario of what's happening?" And I said, Nosferatu is going to fly in and
yeah, and eat us
or something. Yeah.
I still think about that. when I'm like, what? Okay, there's like the wind is blowing. Like, I mean, that's not a big deal. Like, I'm scared, but like, what's the worst case scenario? And Kelly just deadpan, like, Nosferatu flying in and eating us. So you're right. That was the worst case, but it didn't happen.
No, you know what? I do remember what it was, though. You were dating your now husband at the time, but at the time he was your boyfriend, and he, remember, left the door open. And if you left my porch door open, then it made my front door open and close with the wind.
You lived out like rurally.
Yeah.
So
we were out in the country.
We were in the country, which I think is creepier.
Yeah. Than if you're in the city and just whatever. But so that was scary. And then we used to play this game at my old house too. When
Wait,
Luke
me?
You and me and Luke. We called it zombie, but we would shut off all the lights in the house.
We were adults.
Yeah, we're adults. You shut off all the lights in your house, and then we would play it. One person was a zombie, and then two people had to walk through the house, like usually paired up, and you just see like,
oh my god,
if you could make it all the way through without peeing your pants.
The person would just be like, creepy looking.
Yeah, and staggering around and like making zombie noises,
and
then
pitch black dark.
It would be really creepy if two people were the zombies and one person had to walk by themselves.
Yeah.
That was my least favorite.
That was fun.
But try that game, you guys. It's really funny. And that's the days alcohol wasn't even involved.
No. and
that was us sober.
That was us sober, so you can just imagine. But yeah, don't blame us if you get hurt playing zombie though. It's not our fault.
Okay, and so speaking of getting hurt,
there's the Miller Lite.
There's my Miller Lite opening.
All right.
So should we talk about Poltergeist?
Yeah.
Can I tell you about this movie?
I want to hear the Poltergeist story.
Okay, so this movie came out in 1982. And I didn't see it in the theater. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if my dad took me to it in the theater because he, gave me horror movies when I was little. But I think I saw it in the early 80s. I mean, this and The Shining were both kind of on TV at the same time, and I was watching it a lot. It was directed by Tobe Hooper. It had a budget of $10 million, and it ended up making $121 million worldwide.
So it was a hit.
Yeah.
And Tobe Hooper directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is another great horror movie.
So, horror classics. Now, something interesting, and I know you've heard of this, Meg, because we've talked about it before, but there's this rumor about the Poltergeist curse.
Yes.
They were rumored to have used actual real skeletons in the filming of this movie.
I have information about this.
Oh, do you want to talk about it now?
Yes.
So,
go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
I was going to talk about, so the curse is that they talk about 4 people plus died after or during the making of the Poltergeist movies, and they were saying maybe it's because they used real skeletons. What were you going to say about it? And then I'll tell.
Okay, so I remember that that them saying that was real skeletons that was used. So I was like, okay, is this true? I'm going to find this out. So I did some research, and I found that in 2002, Jo Beth Williams, who plays the mom, is the one who said it was on an episode of VH1's I Love the 80s. Remember those shows they used to do? She said that they used real skeletons because they were cheaper in some of the scenes. And she was the actress that was there. So I feel like she wouldn't be just saying that, but
right.
I don't know.
That's creepy. So something that happened with the curse, the 2 most notable deaths, and of course this is just a rumored curse. I don't know, we're not stating here that this was true, but But what was true, really sadly, the oldest daughter in the movie, she was killed by her boyfriend. He was abusive and he strangled her to death.
And it was like shortly after the movie came out. It
Yeah.
was like 3 months after the movie came out. Her name
So-
was Dominique Dunn.
So really scary, really sad. And then also the girl who played Carol Ann, she died of a bowel obstruction. She actually had Crohn's disease, and I know somebody who has Crohn's disease. It's Meg.
I do, yeah.
Do you want to tell us about it?
Sure. So Heather, what's her last name? What is her last name? O'Rourke? No, Heather something.
I'm going to look it up.
Darn it. Anyway, Heather, who played Carol Ann in Poltergeist, was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when she was 11, and I have Crohn's disease, and I've had it my whole life. I wasn't diagnosed until I was older than her, but basically it's an autoimmune disease, and it affects your intestines. And I remember hearing that she died of that after I had, been diagnosed and was dealing with my Crohn's disease. And so it's kind of like when I hear things like that, it's like, whoa, that's insane. And I feel so lucky that I'm here and that I'm healthy. But it just breaks my heart when I was watching it, knowing that she dies when she's 12 in real life. Like, it was just bumming me out when I was watching the movie. This rewatch, it was just like, that sucks.
Well, and
she's so adorable in this movie.
She is. And I knew that she had died.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I had known that she died of Crohn's before, but I did not have that information in my brain. Now knowing that I know somebody personally with Crohn's, and so it affected me so much more.
Yeah, I often say it's kind of triggering to me when I read about somebody dying, especially a child of Crohn's disease. It's really upsetting. So if you guys are Poltergeist fans, and what did you look her up? Her name?
Yeah, it is O'Rourke.
Okay, if you're a fan of Heather O'Rourke, if you have a little extra cash lying around, maybe you could donate to ccfa.org and Heather O'Rourke's name. That is the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America. And, it's just great to remember her in that way, I think.
Something else kind of cool and related to Crohn's, Meg wrote a story that features a character with Crohn's. It's called Guts, and it's in her first volume of short stories called Twisted Reveries. And
I named that character your name.
Oh,
I named her Kelly.
But it's my favorite story in that book. And when I read it, I could really picture it as a film. So maybe look for it on the big screen, you guys.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, it was submitted to the Women in Horror Film Festival.
That's
the
so
screenplay.
awesome.
The screenplay was.
Well, I hope it gets
fingers
made.
crossed. But yeah, my publisher submitted it. But
you need to check out that story, you guys. And
thanks.
Yeah, donate to Crohn's Foundation too. That's a good cause.
The story is basically, I won't give anything away, but it's basically about people trapped in the wing of a hospital, and there's something creepy in there with them.
Yes.
So yeah,
it's so good.
All right, Poltergeist.
So, yeah, let's talk about Poltergeist. Okay, I have mentioned this before, but watching a movie as a child and there's a child or children as the stars, I mean, you obviously just relate, and you're like, this could happen to me.
Yeah.
Did you own any creepy clown dolls as a child?
Okay, so here's what I had. First of all, the clown that is in that, it's so 80s, and it's like, we did have toys like that. Like, why? Why did toys that fucking creepy exist? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they didn't have Josh working at the toy factory, like in Big, saying that
I was
kid.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Who's Josh?
Like, Josh?
That's Tom Hanks' character's name.
Okay, yeah, that's because we always need Tom Hanks. But I had, and I think Poltergeist, I don't know if I had seen Poltergeist at this time, because I was only like 5 or 6, but I inherited a trash can. I've talked about this, right? Okay, from my brother, as, I inherited a bunch of crap from him. And it was a clown trash can, and it had dancing clowns on it. Okay,
I just physically shivered.
Yeah, she did. So when I was about 5 or 6, I had this trash can, and I one night had my little nightlight on, as you do when you're in kindergarten, and I looked over and it looked like the clowns were moving on the trash can.
Stop.
No, I'm serious, and I was like. I was so paralyzed by fear. I was like, oh my God. So I didn't even want to get out of bed, and I kept looking, and they looked like they were moving still. And I finally like crawled out of bed into my mom's room, and I'm like, get that trash can out of my room. And I never had it in there again. But it was just something about the way the nightlight hit it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was so creepy. And I mean, we all can agree clowns are just creepy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, clowns.
I'm sorry, clowns. Like it's just it's time we all admit it.
They are creepy. Okay. Why does a blanket make us feel safe, though? Why do we feel safe when we go under the blanket? The brother does this in that scene when he's creeped out about the clown. And, you know, monsters could reach through and grab us, but somehow going under that blanket is a safety net.
Yes. And can I say, I think his name's Robbie.
Oh, yeah,
I love him so
I love him
much.
too.
He's such a sweet, like, sensitive, tender boy. And, like, he at one point, like, admits that he's got bullied at school.
Yeah.
And he's just...
And he loves his little sister.
He loves his little sister. Like, he's just... I don't know. There's just something about him special. I
love him
his
too.
Character. Can I say, when the movie starts out, for our younger listeners... it plays a Star Spangled Banner. That's how it used to end, right?
The TV day.
The TV.
Oh my gosh, good point. Because people don't know that at the end of the night, network television
would end.
they would not play shows overnight. TV was not 24 hours. They would play the Star Spangled Banner, and it would go to snow.
That was the sign that it was time for the show to be over, and that there was not going to be any shows left. So,
good point.
Anyway, I just thought, some people might not know that for the beginning of Poltergeist.
Meg, tell me this.
Yeah.
If some chairs piled themselves
my
onto
God.
the table by themselves, would you be as cool as this mom was about it?
This mom is so cool.
I would be out.
I feel like she was, like, hippie, like, before this. She was, like, new ager or something. I don't know. But, like... If there were moving chairs in my house piled up on the table, like, that's all I would need to go to the Holiday Inn.
No, I'm done. I'm out.
I'm good. No, I don't need anything more. I need no more proof. And right away when it happened, she's like, these are the TV people that Carol Ann were talking about. It's like, that was a leap that I would just be like, I don't even care. I'm out of here. Yeah. But she was trying to, like, find that, I don't know.
I know.
I would be gone.
It's so creepy.
Something I love about this movie is how real the parents are.
Absolutely.
Like,
they're flawed and they're hilarious.
They're
and
flawed. Yes.
They're such a nice family.
They make you think of, like, your mom and dad, or, like, your, just people like, they just seem real. Yeah. And their house is real. Yeah. I even wrote, like, the kids' bedroom, like, the things they had in there were, like, real. I mean, even the clown doll. Like, we all had crap like that. Did you have a clown doll?
I think I did. Oh, and God. I definitely did not keep it for long. Yeah. But, and how the family interacts with each other seems really real. It's just, the acting is great. The directing is great. I love this movie. Okay, the tree scene. And the kids are screaming for their parents and they can't do anything. That is so scary because imagine watching this as a kid and seeing these kids screaming for their parents to help them. Carol Ann's getting sucked into the closet. Robbie is getting pulled out by the tree and they're screaming for their parents and their parents can't do anything. Right. We feel like our parents are infallible and superheroes when we're kids. Will save us. And seeing that their parents couldn't even help them, that's terrifying.
Yeah, that was, when I was watching it this time, I was thinking when I was a kid and I would watch it, I would wonder what it was like where Carol Ann was. Like, I would be like, I wonder what it's like on that other side. This time I was watching it, I was putting myself in the place of the mother.
Exactly. Exactly. I said this movie affects me in a different way as a parent. Yeah. And regardless of supernatural reasons or not, if your child is missing...
Oh my God.
There's no worse horror than that.
We've
I
all
can't
had
even
that,
imagine.
Like, even 2 minutes where you think your child's missing or something and it's pulse pounding and it's horrible.
Okay, so do you remember the part? I'm laughing. This is a scary part, but Carol Ann has been sucked into the closet and then the whole family goes to the closet.
I know what you're going to say.
My kids' closets look like that all the time. So it's like, that's not crazy.
No.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then they take everything away, and then they think she's there, but it's the clown doll. Like, that moment, and they start crying.
Do they think she's dead?
Yeah,
under the blanket?
they do. They do.
Yeah.
But yeah, my kids' rooms / closets look like that on a normal day.
Come on.
And P.S. during that whole part, the poor brother Robbie, he just needs a hug, but they're too busy trying to find Carol Ann, and I just want to comfort him.
And it's like it's okay. I know.
And he's such
that
a
was
trooper.
Rough. He was a little trooper.
So, and I also think I wrote this down. Watching this as a parent is almost more terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because you're thinking of your own kids missing or
Exactly.
not being able to help them.
And was that thing where they had two kids in peril at the same time.
Yeah.
They didn't even really know that Caroline was in peril at that time, but oh my god, like yeah. And like the kid getting sucked into the tree, like that's what as a kid, when you have a scary tree outside your window, that's what you're thinking is going to happen.
Right.
Like,
and then it actually happens.
Yeah, as crazy as it is, like that's what you're imagining. So that was, that's really done effectively. You can tell this movie is just a well-written, well-directed movie with like very high budget, but just also just high pedigree of people working on it.
Quick question. I know that you moved around a lot as a child. I always lived in the same house. Well, 2 different houses, but the other one only until I was 3. Did you ever have anything creepy in your house or outside of your house growing up?
Oh.
Like the tree in this movie.
Well, there was actually... That tree just made me think of when we moved. I lived in Indiana for a while, and we moved to a house. And the day we moved in, it was the very night, the first night we lived there, lightning struck the tree in the backyard and made it like fall over. And that was scary.
That is scary.
I'm trying to think what else. I mean, we also in that house we were like the first house in like the subdivision. It was very much like the Poltergeist.
Oh my goodness!
And we had fake deer in our yard, which was kind of weird because it was like deer field or like deer, or something. And so the fake deer were kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you lived out in the woods, which is kind of.
I lived in the country, but I didn't have any creepy trees outside my window or anything.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I guess I was thankful for that.
What about neighbors like their neighbors? Their neighbors? Like, okay, first they have the remote control thing.
Oh, right.
Which I said was such an 80s problem.
Right.
Where, like, the remote control of the neighbor is, like, messing with your TV. But then also their neighbors were, like, completely useless, like, at the end. Remember they came over and she was like, help me? Anyway.
And, it's also the very opening scene. The guy... getting messed with the remote control cars, like he drops his beer and I'm like, that's a travesty.
No,
you
like,
youngsters. And before I thought it was great.
And the adult men catcalling a teenager.
Oh my god,
in front
gross.
of the mom.
Gross.
And she just is like, ha 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 ha. This was literally a teenager and these like guys, and I mean that was so gross.
Yeah. Okay, so the experts come in and they actually get scared of the poltergeist. Like they're kind of like, well, whatever. I love in movies when experts get scared because that's
that's when you know the shit has hit the fan.
Oh, it's so great.
The guy's like, I once had a video of a car move 7 feet in 7 hours or something. They're like, okay, wait till you get a load of this.
That's so good. And Bechdel tests pass.
Yes.
The female characters in this movie are excellent, and 2 of them are experts, and the mom is completely real and lovable. I just love her so much.
Oh yeah, me too. I wrote women are solving this problem.
Yeah,
it was women that solved this problem. It wasn't like Craig T. Nelson didn't like. I mean, he was helpful, but it was women who.
But they didn't need him.
Did this? Yeah. So that was really neat to see.
I love that, and I love the characters. I just think that they're so interesting and. Like we were talking about the family interactions being real, but the women experts are just so interesting. Oh, did you notice the scene with the dog? He's like, I'm out.
Oh, when he got in the taxi, he's like, fuck this.
Yeah, he's like,
you people are nuts.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Like,
the dog knows.
Yeah, the dog's like, you guys. Well, and I'm always, I don't know about you, but like in horror movies, when the dog leaves, I'm so fucking relieved.
Oh, I don't want animals to get killed.
Like, I can watch people get hooked by a blood hook any day, but like, I don't want to watch.
No, I feel something for these poor animals.
No, I can't do that.
Oh, can we please say that we have learned a lesson? We learned it in The Shining as well. I didn't bring this up in our episode, but don't build anything on ancient burial grounds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not leading to anything good.
I mean, come on. Like, no. What if what if like your house is on burial grounds and you don't know it?
That would be terrifying. I mean, no, that's not
Like
okay.
that's not okay. And I love the shot when his like boss or whatever
Yes.
brings him up and he's like, your window could be here and everything, and then they pull back and show there's a cemetery right there, and it's
Yes.
like this whole idea of like not respecting the dead. That was something in Dawn
Right.
of the Dead they were kind of talking about
Yeah.
too, is like there's no more like respect for death at that point, and it's the same in this. I don't know, I thought it was interesting. It's kind of like saying something about our culture maybe.
I should mention that we saw the Poltergeist remake in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
and we both are huge fans of the original. So we went in skeptical, but still excited, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I would definitely be like, you need to watch the original.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. But I thought the remake was pretty well done.
Yeah.
We're not of the type, I know there are a lot of fans of lots of things, but especially horror fans who really are turned off by remakes. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a remake.
Especially
I mean,
if
there's
it
lots of bad
introduces
ones,
yeah,
but
that's true. If it introduces a new audience and it's well done, and something I think that they did really well in the remake is the clown in that little closet part
they
in the
had some
boys'
good-
room. Like that was creepy.
Yeah,
and
they did. And I don't think a remake is trying to make you forget about the original. In fact, I'm always happy when people are like, oh, this is a remake, I should go check out the old
Exactly.
one. So it kind of renews excitement.
Something nice about how this plot goes. You think it's over. You think
Yes.
Caroline is saved.
Yes,
Everything's
I
fine.
love it.
But if that happened, wouldn't you still get the H out of that
I
house?
know, she's still taking a nice leisurely bath.
Oh
it's like,
my
no,
gosh, no. There's no way I would still be in that house.
No.
But okay, you think the movie's over, and you're like, why is it still going? Oh, because they're not done with you yet.
Yes. Okay. And we see this a lot in horror movies. Is the gray streak, is that like an actual thing that can happen? You know, she gets like a gray streak in her hair.
yes.
And like
that happens in Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, Nightmare Before I almost said Nightmare Before Christmas, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
Is that a real thing?
Apparently, I mean, it happens in movies.
We should Google this.
Yeah.
I meant to Google it before.
Somebody send us a photo of you in your gray streak.
Yeah, when you were
after
like,
listening to
scared.
this episode.
Yeah.
You're like, this is stressing me out.
I love the popping the coffin, the popping coffins.
Yes.
That just like come up out of the ground.
And
my
their
God, it's so
their
cool.
pool.
Yes, it's so neat. What else? There's so many good scenes in this. When they come out with all the jelly on them, like what is that?
Oh my gosh, it's so
and then
gross.
You're like, where
I know.
were you?
Yeah.
Like, what was it like in there? That's what I was thinking as a kid all the time. Like, what was Carol Ann seeing in there?
Well, it reminds me of, we've mentioned this in our last episode, Stranger Things, like the upside down. It's just not right. And are you hiding in there? I mean, obviously you are. And
it is.
what's
It is kind
happening?
of like the upside down. That's a good point. I actually wrote something about how Stranger Things kind of evokes the feeling of this movie. Like, the beginning with the suburbia and like everything, and obviously in Poltergeist that it's not nostalgia, it is what it was at the time, but I feel like Stranger Things, like Poltergeist, is a big one that they take from, I think, for like just the feeling. What else? I wrote maybe call 911. I felt like maybe police and 911 could have helped at some point, like when they came out and like the kid couldn't breathe and she couldn't breathe, like they came out and they didn't know if they could breathe. I was like, maybe an ambulance would have been a good idea, not just the strange little woman. Like maybe you needed medical professionals.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Okay, so let's do questions.
Okay.
Did it live up to the memories?
So I have rewatched this movie somewhat recently. Somewhat recently, meaning probably in the past 5 years.
Okay.
And yes, it is still scary to me as an adult as it was as a child, but in a different way, as I said, now as a parent.
Okay. Did any scene stand out to you in the rewatch?
I think I appreciated the humor of the parents and them just hanging out. And when they're smoking marijuana in that scene in the beginning, like, they're hilarious.
It is hot, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like,
so.
I was like, wait, is she just making? Is that? I was confused.
I don't
know. I don't know. I'm not
cool. We don't know.
Tweet us.
We're so naive.
Was that marijuana? What's an old way to say marijuana? What's like a dorky way?
The reefer?
Was it the reefer? I don't know. Okay, was there anything you didn't remember?
Let's see. I saw this movie so much. I felt like nothing really stood out to me as new and didn't remember. No. How about for you? Anything that you didn't remember?
No. I watched this movie maybe like 5 years ago or so. It wasn't with you though, I think.
No.
That was just separately. And I remember that time what I had forgotten was like the rotting meat dream that the guy has.
Oh
with,
my
like, the
gosh,
rotting meat and ripping his face off and
right.
stuff. I forgot all that part.
Yeah, that part's really cool.
Yeah, but this time I had like remembered it from a couple years ago. But yeah, that part's kind of neat. How do you think the movie aged?
I think it's fine, especially when it's set in that era. It just makes me nostalgic for the era. So
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me. It's not like, oh, it's not good anymore. Obviously, CGI has come further, but
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me too much.
No, there's some like even the face ripping off.
Right.
It's not great. And then, yeah, there's some CGI. Like, it's like, okay, this is early 80s. I don't know. I'd wonder, have your kids seen it?
No.
Okay, my kids would, like, leave home with, like, a hobo bag stick over their shoulder if I made them watch it. So, but I'm just curious, like, what a kid's reaction would be to it. Was it scary at the time, and is it scary now?
It was scary at the time, for sure, because you're relating to the kids, and you're thinking, what if this happened to me? And it's scary now for different reasons. What if something happened to my child and I couldn't help them?
All right. I mean, we need to take this "does it seem dated" off because that's
I know
how the movie aged. So never mind. Any last thoughts on Poltergeist?
Poltergeist, it was just one of those movies that was always there for me as a child, and I would rent it. I used to own it on VHS, I think, or at least I had it taped. We used to record things off TV. I mean, this is like DVR in the olden days when we'd walk uphill both ways to school, right?
Yes,
but,
exactly.
It was just always with me.
You had it taped off TV.
Yeah, I think so.
It. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Like, I know I saw it a lot as a kid. I don't know if I got it at the store, if I had it taped, But soon we'll do an episode of Poltergeist 2.
Yes, and I know that's your...
Yeah, what's with me? Like, Dawn of the Dead and Poltergeist 2.
The sequels.
Yeah. All right. Poltergeist. Go watch it. Where did you watch it? Actually, it was kind of hard to find.
Yeah, it was. We both had bought the DVDs several years ago.
Yeah, so we were okay.
But maybe it'll be on some streaming services soon.
There were some YouTube videos, but they were really stinky. I tried watching them because I was too lazy to get a DVD out, but they were really bad.
So, yeah, but check it out.
Hello, and welcome to Bonus Rewind, where we revisit one of our childhood movies with a child. This week's special guest is my son, Campbell. Say hello to everybody, Campbell.
Hello.
He's 10 years old, and do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you like?
So, I'm 10 years old, and I have a little sister named Vienna.
And what sort of movies and TV shows do you like?
I like horror.
Awesome. Well, this week we are going to be talking about a movie that technically is horror. It's the Gremlins movie, originally released in 1984, and we just happened to see that it was on, was it on Hulu or Netflix? Do you remember?
Hulu.
It was on Hulu, and then we decided we'd watch it, and it was an experience. So some things that I did not remember. The movie begins, and it takes forever to start up the plot. What did you think?
Yeah, it kind of takes a long time to get the plot going.
We meet Gizmo. His name isn't Gizmo right away in the beginning, or it is, but we don't know. And it takes forever for any sort of plot to happen. Finally, he gets home, we know about the rules, and then the neighbor kid comes over and spills some water on him, and of course, the other gremlins hatch. Now, what do you think about Gizmo? Did you like him? Did you think he was creepy? Do you think he was cute?
I liked him. He was cute.
And what do you think about the other gremlins that popped out of his back?
They were pretty nasty.
Yeah. Well, and then we know that after they eat after midnight, then they go into those cocoons and develop again and turn into kind of icky looking monsters, and not so great. And then the surprises began, as we like to say, and then the murders began. Campbell, can you tell us about how some of these gremlins were killed?
The first one, the main character's mother shoved into a blender and turned it on.
That was disgusting. Do you remember how another one died?
She stabbed it. I can't remember where. I think it was in the head.
Gross.
The next one, she put in the microwave.
Yeah, that was pretty disgusting. And to be honest, I guess I haven't seen these movies in a long time. I did not remember how violent this whole thing was. I mean, it was considered horror comedy, but my goodness. And then the other one, do you remember how the mother killed the fourth one?
I think it was the son.
Oh, right.
He beheaded it, and it went into the fireplace.
Yes, so this was pretty gruesome. But they do defeat those gremlins, and then, of course, Spike gets away, and he goes into a pool, right?
Yeah, he gets into the YMCA and gets into a pool, so then there's pretty much an army of evil gremlins.
Oh, so then some fun begins. They go to the bar where the main character's girlfriend or acquaintance is working, and they're making her serve them beer, and they're up to all sorts of no good. Do you remember some of the things they were up to, Campbell?
Drinking, smoking, gambling. One of them shot another gremlin.
It was pretty crazy. This is a pretty crazy scene. You know, something I had up until a couple of years ago were these books. I think they came with Happy Meals or some sort of fast food meal. And it was a book of the Gremlins, and then you would get a record. That's showing my age, but you'd get a record to listen along with. And you can... I can't even believe it just doesn't seem like it was meant for kids. How about Gremlins 2? We did also watch that. Do you have any thoughts on Gremlins 2?
The main thought I have is that about the one that drinks that potion. So then he's pretty much smart,
Right.
and he can talk, which is pretty weird because all the other gremlins like stutter, kinda. You
Right.
could say they can't really talk clearly, but this one can talk clearly.
It's kind of ridiculous, and I mean these were movies that we watched. We're gonna call in now to another person who has watched these movies in the past. This is a live call-in, so bear with us as we set up the call.
Hello?
Hi, you are live on Bonus Rewind, and this week we're talking about the Gremlins movies.
Oh, yeah. Those
So,
are great movies.
so we are talking to Mark Florence, and do you remember these movies when you were a kid?
Yeah, I have a vague recollections of the movies. I believe I saw it in the theaters when I was younger, but I don't remember much.
And how do you think the movies have held up to the test of time?
I was very surprised in the opening scene how dated and how much the movie looked like it was shot on a set. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think the Gremlin movies should be rebooted? I was reading an article that they may be rebooted. What do you think about that?
I think that'd be a great idea. I mean, with all the new technology and all this new stuff they can do, I think they could really make a great movie and have a lot of the fan base that, like myself, when we were kids, we would all go see it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. Any questions for Mark? Campbell, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for letting us call you and joining us on Bonus Rewind.
No problem. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Also, another thing I noticed in Gremlins 2, but really Kelly noticed it, the main character, well, not the main character, the main gremlin's name, what is it?
Oh, I think I called him Spike, but what is it? It's...
Crump, I think.
Oh, you're talking about the villain in Gremlins 2, yes.
Yeah, it's called Crump, and we
Mhm.
figured out it's making fun of Donald Trump.
Right, it seems like they are alluding to this businessman in New York City, even back then in the 80s, and that they were actually satirizing his life. And oh, it's so funny because the building is supposed to be state of the art. Everything has the newest technology and everything's so fancy. And of course, by our standards here in 2017, it just looks ridiculous. So that was kind of a fun thing to watch.
Also, that businessman is now our president.
Right.
If you didn't know.
Well, here we're even teaching a little politics and history here on Bonus Rewind.
Next up, we have our fast forward segment. I picked the movie this week, and so Meg, what did you pick for fast forward? I'm excited.
Okay,
She's like revealing
so-
something like.
Okay, so actually, this is sort of odd for a fast forward because it's actually something that's kind of old, but this is our first time being able to watch it. So,
Oh, this is interesting.
so there was a movie that came out on the BBC in 1994 called Ghost Watch. Do you know what I'm talking
no.
about? It has been banned,
What?
and I will explain why, but it was banned for many years in England and has only been shown in Canada and Bulgaria once since then. And this is now the first time we can watch it in America, and it's available on Shudder exclusively.
Is it? You said this is a movie?
Well, okay. So I'll kind of explain what it is. So it's like it was done on TV on BBC in 1994, like I said, and it's called Ghost Watch, you guys. And Shudder is a streaming service that is horror exclusive,
And we love it.
we love it. And you can get a free trial too. So try out the free
Don't
trial.
be afraid.
Yeah, give it a try, and then you can watch Ghost Watch. So it's now just in this year, 2017, is now available. So I have not watched all of it yet. I started watching it, and I will admit I didn't finish it. But it's done in a documentary style, but it's fiction. But
This is before its time.
This was before its time. So, this was 10 years before The Office was on BBC.
And this is pre Blair Witch even.
This is pre Blair Witch. You could maybe say like it's the time of like Christopher Guest kind of starting out, but
Right.
he certainly wasn't doing horror. So what happened was people thought it was true and real.
Oh my
like War
gosh,
of the
just like Blair
Worlds.
Witch.
Yeah, just like Blair Witch. To the point where it affected people so harshly. And okay, I'll explain. So I only watched the first half hour. Like I said, I'm gonna finish it, but kids got in the way. So it's done to look like it's a live show.
Oh my gosh.
And they're at a haunted house, and they have like reporters in the studio and then reporters at the haunted house. And Pipes the ghost lives there, and we see things as though they're real. And
Oh my
it's done
gosh, that's so
documentary
cool.
style. So it's really cool, but it was so misunderstood and thought of as true that apparently there were just floods of calls after of people like furious that this real thing had been on because it was so scary.
Oh my gosh.
So I read an article about how a grown man literally pooped his pants watching it. So I was like, well, I have to see this. So it is the first TV show that was linked with PTSD.
What?
Two 10-year-old boys in separate households both had PTSD,
Because they thought it was real.
because they thought it was real. The Pipes the ghost. But this is the most interesting story. I'm going to read this. 18-year-old factory worker Martin Denham, who suffered from learning difficulties and was a mental age of 13, committed suicide 5 days
Oh,
after the
no.
program aired. The family home had suffered with a faulty central heating system, which had caused the pipes to knock, like Pipes the ghost.
My.
Denham linked this
gosh.
activity in the show, causing great worry. He left a suicide note reading, "If there are ghosts, I will be with you always as a ghost."
Oh.
He thought it was real.
That's so
Yeah, and his
sad.
parents blamed the BBC for his death.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, I have to watch this. So I'm going to finish watching
Is it good?
But it's good so far.
Oh.
Like I would believe it was, I mean, the way it's shot, it seems very real, but they had this like first thing in the beginning. And I mean, it's very poltergeisty, like as far as like this ghost that they're dealing with, and like I couldn't, if I had seen that, I would have been like, that could not have been real. But the way that the show or the movie kind of plays out, it's done in such a great documentary style, and like you said, this predates Blair Witch.
Yeah.
And lots of things. So I can understand why people like thought it was real.
Right.
But anyway, I was just fascinated by the history of it. So I'm looking forward to finishing it. But
Very cool.
yeah. So check out Ghost Watch, you guys.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so we need to rate our movies for this week and TV show. Clown dolls. That's going to be our scale. On a scale of 0 to 10 clown dolls. 0 being not great, 10 being love and perfect.
Just a sec. Did the clown doll like wrap his long arms around the kid? What happened? I can't remember. Like he wraps his limbs. Like doesn't he have long? Is that what happens?
I don't know.
It was scary.
I
That
probably
part's
had
scary.
my hands over my eyes.
Oh, okay.
Poltergeist, clown dolls.
I give it 8 clown dolls.
I was
It's
going
a
to say
great
exactly
movie.
8 clown
It's so
dolls.
good. I mean, little Carol Ann.
Oh,
She's so
I love her.
sweet. She's so cute.
And Robbie and Dana. I love all of them.
I loved all of them. And by the way, I IMDb'd and made sure Robbie's still alive.
Aw.
Since the 2 siblings both died, I was like, please tell me at least
Oh,
Robbie's
gosh.
okay. He's okay.
And then when we talked about that curse, the other people who died were older and
Oh, and like from Poltergeist 2,
Yeah,
2 people died, but they
right.
were older and they had
And-
like, problems.
yeah, and one of them knew they had cancer and
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about this Poltergeist curse. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of cool to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
okay, and now Ghost Watch, I have to rate this on the scale of clown dolls just by your excitement and what you've told me, and I'm going to rate it as an 8 as well because I'm really
Yeah.
excited. What are you rating
I mean,
Ghost Watch
I
as?
haven't finished watching it yet, but I'll give it 8 so far. I mean,
Cool.
Pipes the ghost, and somebody literally committed suicide
Oh
after
my
watching
gosh.
it. Like, that's kind of crazy.
You know, depending on where you live, you might have the steam heat or the heat where your pipes do make that noise. And I had a friend who was renting a house, and her pipes made that noise, and they named it like, oh, they're like Harry's down there banging on the pipes. And because you would just be all of a sudden
Yeah.
you'd start hearing this noise, and it is
Yeah.
terrifying. So I could totally see if you're prone to thinking ghosts exist and are in your house
Yeah.
very easily. You could be like, oh, yep, that's a ghost. That's
Oh my
terrible. That's
gosh,
so scary.
creepy. It's creepy to like give that a personification. I feel
Right?
like, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I know. So I don't know. It's creepy.
You guys should tweet us if you've seen ghosts.
yeah.
Do you believe in ghosts? Like, I don't believe in ghosts, but I wonder, like, do horror movie fans believe in ghosts?
Right.
That's a good question.
And yeah, so let us know. And do you have any proof?
Yeah, we would love like a great picture. I would love a great ghost picture.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Wouldn't
awesome.
you? Send one.
Let us know. Okay, so we are going to be next week talking about a movie that's a little bit later in the timeline of horror movies so far that we talked about. I think it's from 1990 or late. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. It's called Tremors, if you've seen it, and I can't wait to talk about that next week. And Meg, is there anything else you want to say to our Horror Rewind listeners?
They're here.
Make sure to subscribe
Oh yeah.
and make sure to
That.
leave reviews and
Yes.
check out our YouTube channel because we always are going to have extra content on there. And
Don't you want to see our faces? Okay. Oh, can I do the tagline?
wait, what
Can I say
tagline?
it? Don't we have a tagline? At the
Oh
end?
yeah, we do.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about like the Poltergeist tagline. I'm like,
No,
wasn't that the
Our
tagline?
horror rewind.
Yes.
Okay. See you in the horror section, guys
Bye.
and girls and